West Asia is on the brink of a wider war. Israel military says it has struck Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanese territory and in southern Lebanon. This following Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's warning that Lebanon military will pay a heavy price for an attack in the Golan Heights. At least 12 people were killed as the rocket struck a football field in the town of Majdal Shams. Authorities say all those killed were aged between 10 and 20. It was one of the deadliest strikes on Israel since the beginning of the conflict in Gaza.
Since I was updated about the disaster, I've been holding continuous security consultations, and I've directed that our return to Israel be brought forward. As soon as I arrive, I'll immediately convene the security cabinet. I can say that the state of Israel will not let this pass in silence. We will not overlook this.
Meanwhile, Iran has warned of consequences of Israeli attacks on Lebanon after Golan Heights attack. This despite Hezbollah denying any responsibility for the strike. In a written statement, the Iran-backed Lebanese group said, and I quote, "The Islamic resistance has absolutely nothing to do with the incident and categorically denies all false allegations in this regard," unquote. However, before reports of the strike emerged, Hezbollah had claimed responsibility for 4 other attacks, including one on military headquarters of the Hermon Brigade on the slopes of Mount Hermon, the base of which is around 3 kilometers from the football pitch. Meanwhile, Lebanon tried to distance itself from the incident, condemning all acts of violence and aggression against civilians. The Lebanese government said, and I quote, "Targeting civilians is a flagrant violation of international law and goes against the principles of humanity," unquote. It has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities. The United States, which has been leading diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalating the conflict across the Lebanese-Israeli border, called the attack horrific. In a statement, U.S. reassured Israel of its ironclad and unwavering support against all Iranian-backed terrorist groups, including Lebanese Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump condemned the incident and used it to attack the Biden-Harris administration.
The savage Hezbollah terrorists struck these children with an Iranian precision missile. Dozens more were wounded in the attack, and sadly, the death toll is probably going to go very substantially higher. Our hearts go out to the families of these innocent children. No parent should have to suffer the terrible loss of a child at the hands of terrorists or anybody else. Today's attack on Israel cannot be forgotten, and it will go down as another moment in history created by a weak and ineffective United States president and vice president. They wouldn't have done this if I were the president. They wouldn't have done it. And they didn't.
For more on this, we were earlier joined by Henno Klink from Washington, D.C. He is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for East Asia.
Certainly in recent weeks it is. I think what makes this attack particularly escatory is that it was a purely civilian target. Only civilians were killed, and quite candidly, the fact that those that were killed were mostly children and teenagers makes it particularly heinous. I do anticipate the Israelis will respond forcefully. I think we've got a taste of that last week after the Houthi attack in Tel Aviv that you mentioned previously. I think that the Israelis will demonstrate that they're resolute when it comes to defending their people and their territory.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.